robot vacuum is truly amazing. It can save you all kinds of time, but you know, you're gonna need something else to keep your home totally clean. Now, Narwal sent me what's called the S10 Pro. And I said to them, hey, I'm not gonna make a video about this. It's not smart enough for you guys. Then I got it, I tried it, and I found out I was sorely mistaken. Now, I think this is a great option for a number of reasons, and I want to show you guys. And I'll show you why some of these other competitors are lacking what Narwal has put on this.
Look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power.
Their application of some of their robot vacuum technology has kind of put them in a class all on their own. The S10 Pro is what's commonly called a wet-dry vacuum. Now, they work really well on flooring, less so on carpets. Now, it does work on mats you have around your home, and it will work on low pile carpets. But if you have those high pile, thick carpets, it's not gonna work with that. Now, it's just like a robot vacuum and mop combo unit in the sense that it can do both of those things at the same time. But watch, I'm going through these different things that you might spill in your home, and it's like a single pass to clean up 99% of this stuff. And in a lot of cases, if you're spilling that kind of thing around your home, you don't want to send a robot vacuum. It might spread it around, make things worse. If you've ever seen those videos of people who have trailed around the dog poop through their home with a robot vacuum, you know what I mean. The whole process for getting started is quite amazing. You fill up the fresh water tank every month or so. Then you take it off the stand, set it down, and then you're gonna press this button. Now, you're probably gonna leave it in auto mode, and honestly, you're just gonna run over your mess one time. You might, in like a worst case scenario, run over 2 or 3 times if you put something crazy on the ground. The wild thing to me is that Narwal is just cleaning with water. The other units I tested, they are using detergent. You're gonna have to continually replace those. Those often set off my air quality monitors with things like VOCs. So I really like that Narwal is not bringing those products into my home. And honestly, as I read the different instruction manuals and the ingredients lists of those detergents, I didn't want them in my home, and they even said they could ruin certain types of flooring. Now, instead of using those detergents, Narwal is using what's called electrolyzed water. Now, this is created automatically in the fresh water tank, and then that is applied to your floor as they move along, mopping and sucking up the debris. Crazy enough, you're probably going to be able to do your whole home on a single charge. I've been around my whole home, done a whole home clean, and haven't been below 50%. I like that I'm able to just go over different mats. I like that the auto mode adjusts for the amount of suction and water it needs. I like that I can do carpets with just suction mode turned on, so I'm not putting down a lot of water. And I also like that any water that is being applied to the floors is dried up in a few minutes because of how it's being applied. I love how it's not leaving streaks, and I love how it's tackling some of the biggest messes that we've thrown at it, and we've thrown some huge ones at this. Now, there's 2 things that might catch you here. I think the first is the size of debris that you can pick up. Now, we got up to an M&M mini size. I don't think you're gonna get much bigger than that. You're also obviously not going to be able to do those high pile carpets, but just about every other type of flooring, this has performed really well on. Once you're done cleaning, the device cleans itself. Now, you put it in the charging station, and then you press this button.
Starting roll brush and dirty water tank filter drying.
Okay, and now it's heating up this pad and it's drying out the roller brush. Plus, through this process, it cleans this base station a little bit, so you don't end up with this being gross at any time, and there's no real maintenance. Your only real job is to replace the roller after about 6 months, and then to empty the dirty water in the debris bin. Now, we're going to go into something called the Geek Dive, where I'm going to get into some of the details that might have you picking this or one of the competitors. And I'm going to explain why Narwal did so much better with that bin. It's things like that that might have you looking at the Narwal S10 Pro or one of the competitors. Let's go. Okay, so most of the Geek Dive in this video is going to be a comparison versus two other wet dry vacs. The first one is the Bissell Crosswave, and in a lot of ways it's kind of deemed to be the top of the industry. This is the Tineco S5, and it can connect to your home's Wi-Fi and an app for whatever reason. It's very similar in a lot of ways to what Narwal has done. Both of those are highly regarded devices and well reviewed. But if you just stick those two next to the Narwal S10 Pro, there's a few things that jump out. Now, the biggest thing to me is that it looks like the other two companies are from the Middle Ages, whereas Narwal is from the future. Now, you're kind of looking at these designs from companies that have obviously been producing vacuums, and now you're looking at a tech company trying to create something that looks nice in your home, and it does look nice. Now, it's also not getting banged up as I go about using it, so it's durable. I think all of these are durable, don't get me wrong, but I was surprised with the heavy focus on the look and the feel and still getting that good durability. These all have some different widths and depths, so they can fit into different spaces. But you can lay these down pretty much and you're going to be able to get under just about anything. A little aside about Narwal is they adjust the suction power as soon as they sense that they're low down to the ground. So it actually adjusts, it knows where it's at. The difference is in how Narwal lets you turn corners. It's really maneuverable, and with it driving itself forward all the time, you just turn it in its direction and it'll kind of pull itself along. This is a really detailed thing, but it does matter when you're going about cleaning your entire home because you're not having to do much work. I've spoken about the detergent and the differences there. Over time, buying those cleaners is going to cost you a lot, and that makes this a very different long-term ownership cost. But the general cleanliness of the Bissell, which is supposedly one of the best, was problematic. It was really evident when I threw down pasta sauce, which, you know, that's a scary test, but the other units handled that test much better. And if you had continued to clean everything after that with the Bissell, you'd have spread pasta sauce around your home. Now the Bissell draws more power, and that's why they have a cable and force you to plug it in, which is annoying in and of itself. It's already a fairly heavy unit, so you feel like you're gonna get your floors cleaner with that until you watch it perform next to these other two. I think both Tineco and Narwal do a really good job cleaning up everything, but for Bissell to perform this poorly next to these other two was a big surprise. One of the things I mentioned earlier was that Narwal was doing a better job with the container where they keep all the dirty stuff. To me, this is a make or break type of thing. I don't want to own the other two units because every time I go to empty those, the dirty water is mixed in with the debris that they've picked up. Narwal keeps these things separated, and that means it's easy to dispose of. I don't gotta get all gross or end up with things going down my sink drain. It kind of becomes one or the other with those other two units, and I don't get what they're doing there. Why are they just mixing everything together? Narwal keeps it separated, so you pour out the liquid and you dump out the debris. It takes seconds and you don't gotta get gross. One of the biggest maintenance items for any vacuum is keeping the vacuum itself clean. Now the stand that these sit in, the roller brushes, those all get dirty, and so does the underside. Now, Narwal is the only one that uses what they call hot wave to dry out their clean roller brush. This all happens automatically and it's very quick and easy. Timeco does have a self-clean mode, but the effectiveness of that is more about the cleaner, and I've explained how I don't love that being around my home. The process of cleaning everything with the Bissell is 100% manual, so it's nice to have the entirety of cleanliness of Narwal's S10 taken care of automatically. This is where, again, I'm going to point out that Narwal has applied some of their tech from previous smart vacuums to this, and it's paying off. Now, one of the biggest things I noticed was a really clean interface and a really good speaker. The interface is very intuitive. You can't really do anything wrong. You just shift through the different modes, you turn it on and off. You can also hear what the device is telling you, and I think that Tineco really falls off here in a few ways. I can barely tell what it's saying, and although I won't care about that often, it was a struggle to understand what mode I was in or what was happening with the vacuum. And I just didn't like how the whole thing looked. I also didn't like the reduction in runtime. What I mean by that is I'm losing over a third of the time that Narwal can run when I use Tineco. So although I never really got below that 50% line with the battery on Narwal, I did get there fairly quickly with Tineco. I feel like over time, the reduction in battery life that we normally see is going to mean that in a few years, Tineco won't be able to clean my whole home, whereas Narwal will. And of course, with the Bissell, I just have to move that annoying plug in. For me, this is a really great companion device. I'm going to be keeping the Narwal in my home. It's such a great pairing with a robot vacuum, and I don't think I'll ever go back to a regular vacuum. This might also lessen the requirements for robot vacuums for me, as it is such an easy thing to use to take care of hardwood floors. Now check out all of the links below in the description, but if you want a really good robot vacuum, you're going to want to check out the video that's up on screen right there. I'll tell you everything you need to know and make sure you make the right decision. Otherwise, thanks for watching today, and of course, live smart.